And good morning at 7:04 on this Wednesday, April 5th. It's time to head to Studio B for Coleman and Company.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. It is a Wednesday morning, a wonderful Wednesday. We welcome you to our program, and we're happy to have Bob McDonald here to talk about Cedar Stone Bank. Bob is President, CEO, Cedar Stone Bank, Lebanon, Mount Juliet, Donaldson. Simple banking, simply better. Good morning.
Good morning, Coleman.
And how are you?
I'm doing great. It's terrific being with you this morning, live and in person here
always
at
nice
Studio
to have
B.
you, and always nice to talk about Cedar Stone
Yes, it's one of my favorite topics.
I think we're all wondering the weather, and when it gets as warm as it is this morning. I don't know why. I never looked at the temperature, but I know at 10 o'clock last night it was close to 80 degrees. She says 73, I believe, and that's pretty warm. And we're wondering what the evening is going to bring.
Yeah. Well, when I left the house this morning, Susan she watches weather closely. She kind of got that from her father. And but she was saying the weather was going to come in this afternoon, the bad weather around 4 o'clock. And MJ just told me the same thing when I saw her. So we all need to be careful later this afternoon.
Be warned, be careful.
That's right.
Well, what's the news from Cedar Stone?
Well, I thought what we would chat about for our few minutes together this morning is just some activities coming up this month that we're delighted and excited to be involved in. And so April and May are both going to be very busy months. But coming up this month, we've talked a little bit about Teacher of the Year, and that's going to be April. Our Teacher of the Year banquet is April 21st, which is a Friday night. It'll be in beautiful Baird Chapel on the beautiful campus of Cumberland University. And this will be our 25th annual Teacher of the Year, 25 consecutive years. Even during all the COVID excitement, we did not cancel our Teacher of the Year program. And that night, there'll be about 150 people there, Coleman, joining the Teachers of the Year. There's going to be 35 plus Teachers of the Year from across the county, Coleman, public and private schools, city and county. And joining those Teachers of the Year will be their guests, but then also they will be their principal. It'll be civic leaders, business leaders, community leaders. So all there celebrating teachers and celebrating teaching. You know, there's always, it's always a great time to celebrate that and those wonderful people, but certainly now given the unfortunate and tragic events from a few weeks ago in Nashville. So we're looking forward to honoring these wonderful people and what they do on the 21st.
I bet you still don't even know who it's going to be.
Well, I don't. I'm told by Debbie, my colleague at the office, that there is that the committee at Cumberland University, and we're so thankful for Cumberland University's involvement in this for 25 years. And one thing they do is they provide the panel who makes the selection. And so it's made up of Cumberland University education faculty. And so we don't know who that panel is. We turn over the packets to President Stum, and he in turn hands them over to his dean of that school. And then the dean selects that panel. So we don't know who's on the panel. But I'm told there is a winner. Of course, we're getting so close, we have to know that now so we can have things engraved and all that kind of fun stuff. So, but I don't know, and I don't want to know to the very end because people will ask me who's the Teacher of the Year. But excited about that. Appreciate your help over the years, too. You've been very supportive of having the teacher.
We always enjoy having him out here after the winner has been announced.
Yeah. And then on the 27th is the second annual reception open house at Fight Fessenden House. Oh. And you know about that. We're delighted to be involved with that. We salute the organization that oversees and controls and has been the leader in the renovation of the Fight Fessenden House. Alexa Moscadelli is very involved in that, and we're delighted to be supportive of that organization. And the house is terrific. I know that there's limited availability, so I don't know if there's any tickets left, but if you're interested, you might call the bank. That's where the tickets are sold. And the monies raised go towards continued renovation and preservation of that beautiful landmark. Yeah. And that's a lot of fun. It's an open house reception. We have live music and we have great food, and it's a great time. And then finally on the 28th, the very next night, I think this is the 6th or 7th annual dinner at the Two Rivers Mansion in Donaldson. And Robert, as you know, serves on that board, and he's been overseeing and been in charge of this event for the last 5 or 6 years. And monies raised from that event go towards the preservation of that beautiful mansion. It's absolutely gorgeous, Coleman. I'm sure you've seen it, but if your listeners have not seen it, I encourage them to go. It is an incredible structure. And interestingly, before I quit on that, there is a gentleman who's been attending each year that we've had this. His name is William Blunden, and he is a direct family member of the McGavics who built and lived in that mansion. And he tells stories when he was a little boy, when his aunt and uncle were still living and owning that mansion, playing in that big, beautiful front yard and climbing the tree. And so it's great to be around him and hear his direct stories of his family and how they lived in that mansion.
Well, it gives you with Cedar Stone and Donaldson an opportunity to branch out and do something for the community, but that is something worth preserving.
Oh yes, it is. It's we're so fortunate here in your listening area to have so many beautiful historic structures and mansions, and there's 3 or 4 right there in the Donaldson Hermitage area.
Well. Any words about banking this morning? You're making loans.
We're making
you're
loans.
Savings accounts, no doubt.
We just wrapped up our first quarter. It was a great first quarter, Coleman. We had very good growth in the bank in terms of loans and deposits, and so people are borrowing money. Yes, rates are increasing, but they're not increasing to a point to where it's stifling the need for businesses to grow or for families to renovate or buy a home, and so we're very busy in all of our different loan categories, Coleman, and so we're definitely loaning money, and we're definitely opening up a lot of those free checking accounts.
Well, why pay for a checking account when you get one free?
Yep.
And when you get all the perks that go with the one at Cedar Stone.
It is. It's a great account, and it is free. You can do your banking with us in any way you desire. You can come in and see us and see our beautiful buildings and our wonderful people, or you can bank electronically, whether that be online or by the telephone. So we encourage your listeners who don't bank with us already to come by and visit with us or give us a call.
All right. I don't think our representative from the UT Extension office has made an appearance, and nobody is waiting on the phone. And I want to bring up something else because I've wondered. You've told this story, Bob. You've told this story a few times, but I've never really. You and WP got together for the Teacher of the Year thing, but have the two of you been friends long before that?
WP and I.
WP Bone, by the way, Wilson County Motors.
Right, WP Bone the third.
Yeah.
WP, Susan and I first, and our family, we first moved up here in this area right at almost 30 years ago, and that's when I met WP for the first time. We immediately became friends, and he took me under his wing and introduced us around town. But WP and Willie, my father, have been friends for a very, very long time. So even though I had just met WP 30 years ago, I'd heard of WP literally my entire life. Yeah. So we've been dear friends for 30 years.
And so you did come up with this idea, and it has worked.
Oh,
it has worked beautifully.
Well, the beauty of the story is we both wanted to, both of our organizations, at the time I was with another bank, and we wanted to come up with an event, a signature event that would somehow recognize education and teachers. But we could not figure out what that would be. And so he came into my office one day after traveling, and he literally threw on my desk a USA Today newspaper. And I said, "What's that?" And he said, "That's what we're going to do." And I opened up the front page, and they were talking about their annual Teacher of the Year program. And so that's how it started. It took us about 2 years to put together, Coleman.
Well, hasn't nearly all the comments, publicity, everything about this been positive and been been really great for both Wilson County Motors and Cedar Stone.
Well, it has been,
even though you didn't do it for that purpose.
exactly that was not our purpose. But the purpose has our hope has become a reality, which is uplift teachers, recognize the importance of education, recognize the importance of the vocation of teaching, and to bring to shine a positive light on what they do. Coleman, every year for 25 years, at least one time each night of the Teacher of the Year banquet, as those teachers are being recognized and they walk across that stage to receive their plaque, they will say to me, "This is the greatest night of my professional career." And that's when I hear those words, then I know that the program is working and doing what it's supposed to do.
Well, I just appreciate what y'all have done and continue to do, and I think it's a great thing as well. And Bob, with that, thanks for being with us this morning. We'll see you next
Thanks,
Wednesday.
Coleman. Have a great day.
Cedar Stone Bank, Lebanon, Mount Juliet, Donaldson, Simple Banking, Simply Better. We go to a break here on Coleman and Company, FM 98.9.
And let's see what's happening on the roadways. Thanks to Bates Ford, get a regular oil change, $34.95, up to 5 quarts oil, tax and disposal, 1673 West Main. Now at traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. Watching traffic increase now on 24 westbound up through the Hickory Hollow area, coming out of Rutherford County into Davidson. Here comes that steady flow of traffic through Mount Juliet right now on I-40 towards Nashville. A little bit of radar was spotted earlier on I-40 in parts of Wilson and Smith County this morning. Snapdragon Hemp, serving up lab-tested, top-shelf hemp products, edibles, flowers, concentrate, stuff you've never seen before. Log on now, snapdragon420.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Simple banking, simply better. Since 2004, that's been our motto at Cedar Stone Bank. I'm Bob McDonald. We know that financial decisions can sometimes be complicated, but that doesn't mean solutions have to be. Whether you're buying a new home, renovating your existing home, or buying a car, or maybe you're a business that needs to purchase equipment or the building you operate from, we have all the technology that will allow you to do your banking online or on the telephone, or you can come in one of our beautiful branches and see our great people. With locations in Lebanon, Mount Juliet, and Nashville, Cedar Stone Bank. Simple banking, simply better.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hello, Cumberland baseball fans. I'm Tyler Hughes from Dyer, Tennessee, and I'm an outfitter on the Phoenix baseball team. We are currently ranked 18th in the nation and are in first place in the Mid-South Conference. But we have a tough conference opponent in Campbellsville coming to town this weekend for a 3-game series, Friday and Saturday. Come on out to the 6 and check us out or listen on WANT 98.9 FM, WCOR 1490 AM, online at WANTFM.com or GoCumberlandAthletics.com. Check out our website for possible changes due to weather. Let's go Phoenix.
Coleman and Company, welcome to our first half this morning. And don't have a guest from the UT Extension office. I don't know if they forgot me or what, but Mayor Bell is always early. And Rick Bell, Mayor of Lebanon, good morning.
Good morning, Coleman. I'd learned to be early for my dad, and tomorrow's his birthday, so happy birthday to my dad.
Oh, you going to tell how old?
He'll be 85.
85 tomorrow, Charles Bell.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your father for a minute here, because, and I know you like to talk about him, although you didn't come out here to do this, but Charles Bell came from the rural area from Watertown, and he came to Lebanon and really made a name for himself and for Lealco and doing those storm windows and doors, I guess it was.
He did, yeah.
Had a big factory here. And then he was very active in the JCs.
He was.
Might have been state president.
He was state president and U.S. vice president for the JC. So, yeah, he was big into that. He was born in Salisbury, which I jokingly say is a suburb of Watertown. Just off the Linwood Road exit.
That was a suburb of Tucker's Cross.
Well, it's that too. It's a suburb of a lot of big places. So when you're a suburb of Tucker's Crossroads, that tells you something, up around Commerce and Grant up in there. And, and he's told me stories about growing up without electricity, no plumbing and all that. And I know a lot of people of his generation have those same experiences. And so he, met my mom and Elaine, and they got married and came here to Lebanon, and their first house was on Oak Street, right there across from where WEMA is,
Uh-huh.
a little one-room house. And he went to work several places, got laid off, and at one of it, AFCO, and then he started a business, Lee Alco, making storm doors and storm windows. And it really started out with two people, him and Sheely Thompson. And my dad was a door-to-door salesman, and Sheely built them, whatever he sold. And from there, it grew to a business that eventually employed about 500 people and shipped windows and doors all over the country. So.
Yeah, and a lot of things has gone along with one being a softball team that had a lot of publicity and notoriety.
He did. That started out back in the late 60s with a fast pitch team, actually. And then he swapped over to slow pitch, and he's actually in the Tennessee Softball Hall of Fame. He that slow pitch team won 10 state championships, and his last team was in 1991. I grew up with that. I loved going to those tournaments every weekend, and that was something that he really enjoyed, being part of that team. But it was a lot of fun, and I can tell you, people talk about slow pitch softball, and you think, well, it's just some guys on weekends having a good time. It was serious.
Yeah.
It was serious, and we traveled a lot of places, and so he's done a lot. He really has.
Well, he's really a fine businessman, and the record shows it. Well, I think we got a guest on the phone here, but happy birthday tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
To Charles Bell, 85 years old.
85, and then I'll wait till my real time.
All right. I'm going to go to the phone. Lucas, are you on the phone this morning? Let me do that. All right. Lucas Holman, are you there?
I am here, Coleman.
Well, good morning. We're missing a guest here, and MJ happens to have your number.
Who was coming today? So you may hear a screaming child in the background.
Well, we got about 9 minutes here, so tell us what you can tell us in 9 minutes.
Well, we've kind of been hopping in the office. I think the biggest questions that we've got right now is freeze damage, and I know MJ asked me questions the other day about some stuff, and I think that's been our biggest questions right now is it going to live or is it going to die? And I think the biggest hiccup is we've just got to wait and see what's going to do right now. Some of this stuff's flushing out new growth right now, which is good. So,
well, but some I guess the question is, do I dig it up and throw it away, or do I continue to wait?
I would scratch the bark at the base of the stem, and if it's actually green, you're probably good to go. So we've seen some stuff in the past week with these 70-degree days where it's actually starting to push out new growth completely. So I think majority of what we've seen in the past 2 months is going to live. Even though we're having some questions from HOAs and subdivisions and things like that, it's kind of a wait and see thing. So we looked at some shrubs yesterday. I've looked at a bunch of shrubs in the past week, and I would say 75% of them are going to be fine. The issue is they're going to be leafing out from the bottom, and the whole top is dead. So if you had a 6 feet tall shrub, it's more than likely going to be a foot tall this spring. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be a patience thing. Gardening is full of patience anyways. So it's a wait and see thing. So if you have to cut it back at the ground, it will flush back up, but it may take it 2 years to get 6 feet again.
Well, then some people are going to say, well, if it's going to take that long, I'd just soon go get me one that's 2 foot tall. It's going to grow and be 3 foot next year, and not have to do the waiting. It's kind of an option thing in that situation, isn't it? Whatever they want to do.
It is. So McMinnville, where we get majority of our shrubs, was also hit severely. And you drive through McMinnville and you see acre after acre just completely burnt. So if you think, I'll just run to McMinnville and get some of the same plants I got, if they have them, they're going to be a lot higher. So we've seen plants, some of them been doubled this spring. So it's kind of if you want to go ahead and spend $60 on a shrub that you paid $30 for last year, go ahead and bite the bullet and do it.
Okay, well, it's kind of an option thing. You decide, but if you want to know absolute for sure that it's going to be dead, you probably need to wait a little bit longer. I think that's what you're saying here. Let's move on to something else. It's always a question of when to especially setting out tomatoes and other things like that, that you're wondering when it's going to frost. And nobody can tell us exactly when the last killing frost is going to be, or how many times you're going to have to cover up plants that you set out here on the 5th of April. Talk about that.
So we average April the 15th for a late freeze. So the last 2 or 3 years, we've had a frost after April the 15th. So if you plant a tomato now and then baby it, it's going to probably take off the same as if you planted a tomato in a month. It's all based upon soil temperatures, and the soil temperatures needs to average about 60. We're not really at 60 some days, even though the atmospheric temperature, what we're feeling is 70 today, the soil temperature may only be 50. So it's kind of if it was me, and I plant a lot of tomatoes, and I know you do too, Coleman, I would wait another 2 or 3 weeks. And I know there's plenty of places that will sell you tomatoes right now. They would love to sell them to you again in 3 weeks.
Let's talk a little bit about the peach crop, because we have some peach growers here, and I don't know what's happened so far. Bring us up to date on where that might be and what kind of peach crop we might expect this year in Wilson County.
It's been a disappointing spring. So I know Pratt's was actually interviewed by one of the news stations the other day, and I can't remember, it may have been WKRN, and it looks like it's a complete loss for peaches this year. So it's a disappointing spring, and peaches, if you've got peaches at home, what was scary was I was seeing peaches bloom the last week of February. There's no way those peaches were going to make it. So we've seen some varieties that bloom really late, even on these 70-degree days 2 or 3 weeks ago, still popping. So what was disappointing is then we had 70-degree days the last week of February. Everybody said it's really nice. And then 3 weeks ago, we dropped down to 16. Killed every one of those blooms that was on the peach. So it's really disappointing for peach people. What's lucky is we've got a my screaming children are fighting right now.
They're okay. We're fine.
What's great right now is we have our apple crop probably will be okay. A lot of the apples are just starting to bloom this week. So if it's a complete loss for peaches, I think the apples may be all right now.
Well, let me ask you kind of a dumb question here, but I've never really. Well, I did plant a peach tree one time. It never did do anything, and but that's beside the point. What I'm wondering here is if those first blooms are destroyed, is there any hope for this year? Is there any way that they would come back out, or is it just pretty much this year's crop's over?
This year's crop's over, and I hate to tell homeowners that. But those peaches form their flower buds in the fall, so it's a one and done kind of shot. So they bloom at one time, that's it. They don't form any more flower buds until about September of this year, and those are the blooms for next year. So if you're a peach person this year, you got peaches in your yard, more than likely you'll be buying peaches from someone. Georgia.
Tell me something. I know Miss Ruth, when she was there, had a lot about cattle on her mind and worked with the cattle people and so on. You're more of a gardener, I think, but are you involved with the cattle, or you got somebody else?
We have someone else in our office that does all the animals, forages, row crops, and her name is Jessica Young. But right now, I'm fielding those questions because she had a baby last week. She's out of commission for a little bit of time, and I was at the Farm Bureau meeting for the county yesterday. And I said, if you normally ask Jesse all these questions, you're stuck with me for at least the next couple of months. So ask me your question.
Well, how's the price of cattle right now? I don't pay much attention to that. I don't have any, but I'm
They're really good right now. We've seen some steer prices go over $2 a pound, which is better than they've been in quite a few years. So we're seeing some markets go really, really well in the cattle market right now. And it's kind of disappointing because all the feed prices have went up. So people think, well, the cattle people are making a lot of money. Well, go look at how much their feed's actually costing this year as opposed to 2 years ago. And we know the fertilizer that they used on their pastures went up substantially about 2 years ago. And we're still seeing those effects of high fertilizer and the input costs have went up so much that it's kind of balanced out for the $2 a pound rate. So
What's it look like as far as a hay crop this year? You want to make any prediction?
I think we're going to be really good. Now, Wilson County has some outstanding hay producers in the county, and I buy hay locally from a couple of different people, so it works out really well for me, too. We have a lot of people who sell round bales and square bales, and we have some specialty hay people. We have some people who just do teff hay. We have some people that just do alfalfa. So I think if it's a type of hay, the specific hay that you're looking for, we probably have a farmer in Wilson County raising it. Now, this spring looks really promising because we've not really had any really damaging frost or anything like that, because the fescues are up, the orchard grasses are up, which is our cool season grasses, which majority of our pastures are. It looks really good so far.
All right. Well, Lucas, we've come to the end of our time here. Thanks for a fine impromptu session with us this morning. We appreciate you, your staff, and all that you do, and thanks for being with us.
Hey, thank you, Coleman.
All right. That is part one of Coleman and Company. We hope you'll keep it here for more FM 98.9.
And let's see what's happening on the roadways. Thanks to our friends at Absolute Kubota. Write it off the lot. Write it off your taxes. Visit Absolute Kubota. Take advantage of this Section 179 tax deduction when you buy new Kubota construction equipment, tractors, RTVs, hay tools, or turf products. 1506 West Main. Now with traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. Traffic's on the increase quite a bit, actually. Traffic volume here on I-40 coming through Mount Juliet, leaving Wilson County, headed towards Hermitage, Donaldson. Still positive right now through Dixon County. We have reported lots of radar out through Dixon County this morning. Be careful down I-40. It's stop and go at times already. 65 southbound at Trinity Lane. Still looks good at the moment as you come out of Murfreesboro, Rutherford County 24. Now it's busy westbound up through the Hickory Hollow area. Hey, Nash Painting services all of Middle Tennessee. This spring and summer, if you're considering getting your house painted, these guys should be number one on your list because they are number one. NashPainting.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Have you ever wondered what the ministry of Jesus was really like? Now, thanks to Angel Studios, you can get a glimpse. The most successful crowd-funded series in history is coming to College Hills. By now you've heard of or seen snippets of The Chosen, but maybe a busy schedule has kept you from enjoying it without interruption. Beginning Sunday afternoon, April 16th, and for 8 weeks following, College Hills will be hosting this outstanding portrayal of the life and ministry of Jesus. There will be no formal worship time or collection. The event is free and open to the whole family. Following the showing, there will be a Q&A led by members of College Hills and other faith communities. Join us for light snacks and beverages at 4:30 p.m. and for the 1-hour showing at 5 p.m. Reignite your passion for the Savior of the world and expand your knowledge of His mission. Once again, that's April 16th, 5 p.m. at the College Hills Church of Christ on Leeville Pike in Lebanon, Tennessee. Come and see for yourself. Visit collegehills.org for more information.
Unfortunately, today is another day we need to be keeping an eye on the weather. Most of Middle Tennessee is under an enhanced risk for severe weather, especially damaging winds. Our day starts off windy with stronger storms arriving late this afternoon into the evening. This weather forecast is brought to you by Walker Auction and Realty, professional auction and real estate services. Get top dollar for your home, land, or personal property. Log on to MikeWalkerAuctions.com. They know auctions. That's a look at your forecast. I'm number one Ned.
Coleman and Company, welcome to part two here on a Wednesday morning. We're ready to talk about Herc Reynolds, and Dave Hurst is here. We have been saying about Dave, he was the assistant branch manager. He's now the branch manager, right?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Dave, good morning and welcome again.
Thank you.
Herc Reynolds is located at 1325 West Main, and you'll find equipment and tool rental there. Their website is hercreynolds.com, and that phone number is 615-443-RENT. And what do you got for us this morning?
Well, I mean, one of the big things is this is the first weekend we're going to be open on Saturdays. We're now going to be open Saturdays starting this month, the whole way through October again, going through, basically the whole summer, spring, fall, and all of that. So we'll be open 7 to 12 on Saturdays now.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, you got any real popular items right now?
Yeah, I mean, right now, now's the perfect time for guys to get out, start, aerating their lawns. We're getting to that time period. We still carry a lot of the small tools like the bed edgers. This past week, actually, chainsaws was a big thing. We had all that wind coming in, and guys were coming in, so we do carry a fair amount of chainsaws. We've got a decent amount of the smaller tools still, like your core drills, your hammer drills, stuff like that. So we do still carry a bunch of the smaller stuff for the homeowners.
Well, that's something to think about if you have a problem that the wind or weather has caused, and maybe you need tool or tools that you don't have handy. Herc Reynolds has them. Hopefully, they're available. Now, that's when you need something immediately. It may be there, and you may have to wait a day or two.
Yep, yeah, and that's why we say call a couple days in advance, and and we can get you a reservation put together. But I actually have expanded the fleet and some of that smaller stuff, so I think we should have enough to go around. And then, of course, too, I can always go to Nashville and grab some of their stuff because our drivers move in between our two stores so much throughout the day. So if they have it available, I can grab from their store and usually have it to my store by the end of the day.
Well, 1325 West Main is a very convenient location, and you have enough space there for, I think, for what you need. There's a lot of traffic that comes in and out of your place.
Oh, yeah. There'll be some times, especially usually Mondays and Fridays are like our heaviest days. And Monday mornings, it's not uncommon to see, a row of trucks and trailers, waiting at the gates to come in and, get loaded up or get unloaded from the weekend. So.
Well, I know there's been times you've been looking for people to work. Are you pretty full, or you still got an opening?
Still got openings. Still looking not only at our branch but also in Nashville as well. Yep, still looking for some good people.
I started to say a few good men, a few good people.
Yep,
men or women.
That's right. Yeah. Yep, we'll take anyone who's willing to work and looking for a career. So.
Any particular requirement to work there? I mean, it's. You have clerical workers. I guess you have some that there's more you need a stronger back for, but.
Correct. Yeah. There's not really. Basically, probably the biggest thing is, come in, you're willing to work, a good work ethic, and just willing to be part of a team. All of our guys are pretty much cross-trained in a lot of things. So, we do run a decently lean staff. So if a couple guys are off, we always have guys that can jump in and fill their spots. So we do believe in cross-training and being flexible.
What did you start out doing?
So, well, for Absolute Rental, I would have started out working on the counter. That's where I started. Yep. So answering phones, working on the counter, and just kind of work my way up from there. So
well, there's like anything, you have a way of doing things, and there's quite a bit for a new person to learn. But I would think it comes pretty quickly.
It does. Because especially if you're working on the counter, it's repetition, repetition, repetition. So and we've got a great group of guys that have been doing it for a while. So they're going to surround you and help you out and help you get up to speed. So.
Well, equipment and tool rental, a big thing, and you rent to contractors, you rent to do-it-yourselfers. You don't call anybody out, really.
That's right. Yeah, and that's the big thing. I think a lot of people probably thought that when Herc came along that we get rid of some of the smaller tools. That hasn't been the case. There's a couple outdated things that we've gotten rid of, but we've also replaced those with newer models, and we've maintained pretty much the entire fleet. So.
Well, remember that phone number, 615-443-RENT, but you can go to the website, hercrentals.com, and if there's more available there. You can do more there than you could when you were Absolute. Correct. Phone numbers stayed the same, but the first time you rent something, you still got to at least get on the phone, right?
Yep. Just get on the phone, give us a call, and we'll get some information from you and get you all set up.
All right. Open Monday through Friday, 7 to 5, and now Saturdays, 7 to noon.
That's correct. Yes, sir.
Herc Reynolds, 1325 West Main, and Dave Hurst is the branch manager. Dave, thanks so much. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Coleman.
All right. Well, we're about 22 before the hour, and Mayor Rick Bell is still with us. Mayor, good morning again.
Good morning, Coleman.
For those who might not have been listening 20 minutes ago, our guest, we had to secure one by phone, and we got to talk about your father, who will be 85 tomorrow, Charles Bell. So, Charles, happy birthday. And that's enough of that. Let's get to last night's meeting in the city of Lebanon, and I know you've got a lot to talk about.
Well, we do. And last night, Coleman, we had one important item on the agenda that I think really stood out, but I want to give you some background. Over the past couple of years since I've been mayor, we've done a lot to manage growth. We've passed a comprehensive plan. We've increased fees on developers. We make developers pay for infrastructure improvements. We put a sunset clause on SP zonings. We've increased standards for multifamily. We've done a lot of things, but when you really get right down to it, zoning is where our true power is. Once a piece of property has zoning and has the right to build what's in that zone, then it can be built. If they turn in a site plan that follows our rules and do all those things, then they can build it. And I bring that up, and I actually mentioned this in my State of the City address last week, and is that I hear a lot from people in town about apartments and townhouses, multifamily type developments. And so I just want to give you some stats, and this will build up to what happened last night. Right now, there are 39 current multifamily developments that have their zoning. That zoning happened before I became mayor. Okay, so there's 39 current multifamily developments that got their zoning before I became mayor. 11 of those are complete. They're finished. They've been built. 9 are currently under construction. 19 have their site plans approved, but they have not started construction yet.
All right.
Okay. So there's 19 other multifamily developments, again, that were zoned before I got here, that are in the pipeline to be built. Okay, but here's something else. There are 17 other properties that received that zoning, again, before I became mayor, that do not have a site plan approved. So potentially, there are 36 more multifamily developments out there. Okay, now I say that to say this. Every one of those developments have either a zoning of commercial neighborhood or commercial service. That's the two categories they fall into. And those two zonings were created years ago to enhance mixed-use development. And mixed use means, it's a mixture of residential, commercial, retail, and, to create like a neighborhood setting where there's maybe some apartments, some single-family homes, some stores, things like that. Mm-hmm. But what happens is that zoning allows 14 or 15 different uses, and there's a loophole where you can just do one of them. And what we've seen historically, and those stats I think back it up, is that when a lot of developers get that zoning, they use it for one thing: multifamily, not the mixture that we intended. So I say that to say this. A while back, I put together a zoning committee of citizens to tighten up our zoning code, overall, the whole zoning code. But at the top of the list was these two zonings, to make it where if you have that, you actually have to do what they're intended to do the mixed use. So last night, the staff and I put in front of the city council to tighten up those zones so this cannot be allowed anymore. You cannot just use it for one thing. You have to actually use it for what it was meant to be used for. So we put it in front of the council. One person got to speak against it, who's in that business. Councilor Camille Burdine, she made a motion to defer because she has some concerns about it. And Coleman, I'll just say here what I said last night. The council, in their day-to-day lives, they have different jobs. Joey Carmack, he works for the circuit court system. Fred Burton, he's a disc jockey. Camille Burdine, she's a real estate agent. Chris Crow, he's a banker. Tick Bryan, last night I said he was a carpenter. I'm not really sure what he is, but I said carpenter. He's a handyman. And Phil Moorhead, he's a retired businessman. But I told them on the first and third Tuesdays at 6 o'clock, they are city councilors. And they have to make decisions that they feel are best for the city. And it's hard. It is hard because what's best for the city may not be what's best for an individual developer or landowner.
But at some point, we have to stop looking at these things project by project and really determine what do we want this city to be 20 or 30 years from now. And at some point, we have to make that decision, and it's a hard decision, but we have to make a decision for the future. So we discussed that last night. Her motion to defer actually was a tie vote. I broke the tie and said no. And the motion to change that zoning and tighten it up passed 5-1. Camille Burdine, she voted against it. But I did say that next Thursday, the 13th, we will have a city council work session at 5:30 to discuss it, so they can ask our planning staff all about it. So if anybody out there wants to come to the meeting, it's open to the public. But I really believe it's time, and we've worked on it for 2 years now. It is time that we really lock down and say, okay, what do we want this city to be? And we need to make decisions to make that happen.
There any loose ends here that might come back to bite us, so to speak, in what you're wanting to do?
You know, this zoning committee has looked at this for a long time. The planning staff has too. And so, you know, it's been worked out. But it's first reading, and it has to have a second reading. We're going to discuss it on next Thursday night. And I encourage the counselors, if you have any questions, specific issues, let's hash them all out right there. If there are any loose ends that we want to work through, we will work through it. But I did not believe it needed to be deferred last night. I think we need to push forward to make sure that we protect this city and these citizens. And here's the thing: is that, you know, we have developers that have invested a lot in this city. There's no doubt about that. And we've had good ones. We've had some not so good. We have people who bought land who've invested. But the people who live here, they've invested too. They've bought homes here. That's also an investment. And so we have to make sure this is good for everybody. So we'll talk it through.
You feel really strong.
I do. I really feel strongly about this. That we have to get our arms wrapped around this. And
you feel this is the best way to do it?
I do. I feel it's the best way to do it. We'll work through it at the work session on second reading. You know, if it passes, it passes, and we have closed this loophole. As we move forward, you know, and we see some things that need to be altered, we can always alter it. But we need to get a handle on this right now.
All right, Mayor Rick Bell is here. Time for us to take a break on Coleman and Company, FM 98.9.
And let's see what's happening on the roadways. Thanks to Bates Ford and the Works Vehicle Checkup, they'll make sure your vehicle is ready for any road. $49.95 up to 5 quarts oil, tax and disposal, tire rotation and safety check. 1673 West Main. Now with traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. We still see a steady flow of traffic right now coming out of Rutherford County, Murfreesboro on 24 westbound by Epps Mill Road. All that traffic headed towards Antioch up through the Hickory Hollow area. It's been quiet so far on I-40 in Wilson County. However, there's been radar spotted in parts of Wilson County up to Sumner County as well on Vietnam Vets. Nash Painting, they service all of Middle Tennessee. Be sure to ask them about their vapor blaster that removes paint without dust damaging the house. Find out more by logging on to nashpainting.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
When you needed portable heating, cooling, generators and remediation equipment, contractor tools, or any other equipment or solution to help you get the job done, you trusted Absolute Rental and Supply. Now that same team brings you more equipment and more solutions as Herc Rentals. From construction and industrial to HVAC and homeowner, Herc Rentals has the gear and expertise to get jobs done efficiently, effectively, and safely. Visit us today at 1325 Main Street in Lebanon or online at hercrentals.com. That's HERCrentals.com.
Gregory Dental Group in Lebanon is a family dental practice located across from Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital. They offer cosmetic procedures, dental implant services, and now featuring new digital dentures. Premium dentures in just 2 appointments. No insurance, no problem. Call about our discount plan.
Hi, I'm Dr. Derek Gregory. In my office, you can count on a compassionate staff who will truly listen to you, take the time to get to know you, and discuss your personal needs. I look forward to meeting you.
Gregory Dental Group, 444-0322, West Medora Parkway across from Gibbs Pharmacy.
Thanks for joining us here on a Wednesday morning. Mayor Rick Bell is with us. We mentioned spring cleanup quickly here, April 3rd through April you got something out after they already passed by, you got one more chance.
That's true. So be sure and have your stuff out by 6 o'clock Monday morning. If you put it out over the weekend, it will not be until Monday. It may not be Monday. It'll be through the week. So it takes a while to get through the entire city. But if you have it out by 6 o'clock Monday morning, it'll get picked up.
All right. And Lee Clark came and talked some about this not too long ago. He's kind of in charge of this, isn't he?
He is. He's in charge of it. And Wayne Carmack plays a big role in this too. So I don't want to leave him out.
Okay.
They sort of spearhead this. They've been doing it for a long time. And I appreciate them getting out there and doing it. It's not easy. And there's a lot out there. So,
all right, back to last night's meeting. What else do we talk about?
There's one other thing that big happened last night. There was an annexation request out here on Charleston Ferry Pike, not too far past the radio station here. It was on first reading, and it failed as well. It failed for a lack of a second, actually. It was part of Ward 2, which is Fred Burton's ward. He made a motion to approve it, but nobody seconded it. So that annexation did fail last night.
When something like this happens, can it be brought up again and again and again if somebody wanted to?
They could. You know, what I think most people would do is maybe come back with a different plan. You know, maybe talk to the neighbors and see what would what would satisfy them. There were a lot of neighbors there last night. Mike Kurtz, who's the county commissioner for that area, he spoke last night. So it's something I think that they may have to reconfigure what they were doing and try it again. But, again, we're looking for developments that will benefit the city. And that's one of the things I talk about all the time. You know, we're not necessarily anti-annexation or anything like that. We just want to make sure what we do is good for not just the landowner developer, for us too. And there are things out there like that. But last night the council decided to let that one go.
Okay. All right. What else you got from last night?
That's pretty much it from last night. The rest of it was just some regular internal business that the council needed to pass. But there is one big thing that's happening today, later on this morning. The traffic signal at Carver Lane is going to be turned on today. And so I want to make sure everyone who...
It's been a long time coming.
It's been a long time coming. It's been long anticipated. And I got a text yesterday from someone who lives on Carver Lane thanking us for getting that done. But it'll be turned on later today. But please watch out as you go through there. It's probably going to be turned on around 10 o'clock. But also, please remember that construction is still going on. There'll still be people out there working, so just be careful as it stays in construction.
Well, now, is this turned on? Is it yellow for a while?
Oh, it has been.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
it's going to be officially
yes.
red, green, and yellow.
It's been flashing for about 10 days.
Okay,
At 10 o'clock, it will turn red and green and yellow. It will work. Well, now when they flip the switch, Kristen Rice, the traffic engineer, she always tells me when you first turn it on, there may be a hiccup or two, but it will be running today.
All right, we've got the word here.
Yeah,
but that's gonna change a little bit the way you drive on West Main there.
It is, and there are a lot of signals in that area, and I know traffic signals are a double-edged sword a bit, but this light will be part of our CMAX system where they're all computerized, and we can keep better traffic flow that way. One thing I do want to let people know is that when you come off Badura onto Main Street, there's a sign there that says "No right on red."
Yeah.
Okay. When this light gets turned on, that sign will come down because it's all part of the system down there. But the people of Carver Lane, it's been needed for a long time. There's been several things built along that road too that's added. So it's all paid for by developers. And we're really happy that it's finally getting up.
One of the things that I've noticed, I think your work has gone pretty well out on South Cumberland. I think there's the sewer, water line.
With the water line?
And moving along with that, but you do have to be a little careful as you go by there.
You do, and one of the rules of that contract is they cannot close the driveways, those businesses on that side of the road. That water line is really important. When the engineers were looking at that line and designing it, they were doing some research and found out that the line we were replacing is actually 70 years old. it's been there a long time, and those businesses have faced leakages, water outages, and that's an important corridor, not just for those businesses, but for us. That's a huge commercial area. So getting that fixed was really important, and we're working on it. I think it's going well. It seems to be going smooth out there.
Any real surprises or anything that slowed it down? Has it gone pretty smoothly?
No, it's gone smoothly. It really has. It's gone as expected, and they haven't run any problems. It just takes a while, to dig in the ground and lay new pipe, and so we're looking forward to getting it done. But it hadn't been a problem at all.
Well, you know when the expected completion is?
I don't. I think they said when they first started it would take about 6 months or so. So they've been working for a while.
A couple months, maybe.
It's been about a couple months. They've been working on it.
Right.
So, but the part where they can only dig up a certain amount of feet per time, then they have to fill it back in and go back. So that slows things down.
Yeah.
But it's worth that to make sure that no businesses get disturbed as much as possible.
We got about 5 minutes left this morning. What else is on your mind?
Well, we have some things going on. I need to announce this for sure. Regina Santana, who's been with the city for a long time, a few months ago, I asked her to be acting utilities director, and she took that job, and she's done well. So just last week, she accepted to take that job full time, and so I appreciate her doing that. It's a tough job, but again, Regina, she's been around a long time. She knows a lot. She's not new to the city, but she is new to this position. So I appreciate her doing that. And as I said, she's been doing really well up to this point, and I know she's going to do well in the future.
Well, now you got somebody to do what she was doing.
I did, and she resigned, and so so Regina took her place. But yeah, so what Jeff has done now is that since Regina has moved up, then he's moved some of his people up, and so. Maddie Neely is now over our, I guess, developer projects. Anything that's going out there that's probably developed, she's in charge of handling that. And then Kristen Rice, who I mentioned earlier, she is our capital projects manager. So anything we do, she oversees that. So Jeff actually took Regina's position and split it between two people.
Okay.
And so that tells you everything Regina was doing. But Regina's moved up again. We had a resignation, so Regina's took that spot, and now we have some people taking Regina's spot too.
Well, I think a lot of people are wondering who's going to be the next Debbie Jessen.
That's a good question. It's a question for me too. Last week,
and I say that sort of in jest. I mean, nobody's going to come in and be just like Debbie was. It's sort of like over to Senior Citizen Center replacing terrific Teresa. No two people are just alike, but I hope you get somebody who has the enthusiasm and the dedication that Debbie had.
And that's my goal. And we posted that job last week, and it closes this upcoming Monday. Mm-hmm. And then we'll look at it and pick someone. There's a lot of great candidates out there. Sylvia Reichel, our HR director, she gives me an update all the time with this many people have applied, and so it's going to be an interesting decision to make. But
do all these people that are applying know what it's like to work for you?
Well. A few of them, some of them are internal, so they know who I am. The external ones, maybe not.
I'm sort of saying that in jest, but I do think sometimes you might drive a hard bargain.
Well, we try to work hard up there. I'll say that.
Yeah.
But we do have some things coming up I want to talk about. Right. This Saturday we have our annual Easter egg hunt at 10 o'clock behind the Jimmy Floyd Center. We had hundreds of kids last year, and it's going to be bigger this year. So I appreciate everybody at City Hall and at Jimmy Floyd Center and the fire department working on that. We are closed Friday for Good Friday, and I do want to wish everyone a great Easter. I know we'll get together and hunt eggs and have meals and be with family, but through all that. Remember what the day is about, and that's Jesus Christ dying for us, and so this is always a special weekend. I hope everybody has a safe weekend out there as they go visit and celebrate. Also, on April 29th, we have our Let Lebanon Shine cleanup day, where volunteers come out and we spend a Saturday morning in different parts of the city picking up litter and whitewashing graffiti and doing some other things to beautify the city. So if you're interested in that, please contact us. We'll have more information coming out soon about that, but we always have a great time. So please join us for that. And yesterday, this was a great event. Fiddler's Grove had their ribbon cutting to open up the year, and I was able to speak at that. As a city historian and also a member of the Fiddler's Grove Executive Committee, it's always a good day. But yesterday was even better because they had a bluegrass band play, and I got to introduce them. So that's always fun.
All right. Well, a lot of things are happening, and don't forget, of course, the spring cleanup, which will conclude next week. But get it out early Monday morning if
please
you want
do.
it picked up.
If it's not out early Monday morning, it may not get picked up. So get it out there.
Okay, Mayor, have a great weekend. I guess it'll be 2 weeks before we see you again, but thanks for coming today, as always.
Thank you. I'll be back.
That is going to do it for a Wednesday, and I hope that you'll join us next time on Coleman and Company, FM 98.9.